Hi everybody, it is Tash B and welcome to another episode of Tash B TV. Now today I am super excited because I have right here in my office the lovely lady that I'll be speaking with today and sharing some wonderful insights. So this is Kylie Bartlett. She is from Lead.Love.Leap and she is all about empowering women and helping people get out of their own way so that they can lead, love and leap into their own potential. And that is what her business is all about, which I think just sounds absolutely amazing because we all need to lead, love and leap and get in there. So Kylie, first of all, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tash, for having me.
And now tell me, Lead, Love, Leap. Sorry, I need to think about that so that I've got that right in my mind. Tell me about that because what an amazing business name. So tell me, what does that mean?
Well, there is a pretty remarkable story behind the business name, but essentially what it really is a holistic perspective of who we are in our personal and our professional life. So, you know, this idea of thinking about how we want to consciously lead in our personal and our professional life, how we want to show up and love, so how we really do what we want to do in this world that's aligned to our heart's desires, and also too around how we leap, how we continue to grow, learn and take the risks that are going to push us to our own potential and beyond.
Wow, that is fabulous. Because it really is about that, isn't it? Pushing to your own potential. So what came up for you to go into this space, to be working with people to uncover that?
That is a really great question. Look, it took me a while to work out how it all came to be, but every single thing that I've ever done has been centered around teaching, whether it's a facilitator, whether it's nurturing, whether it's encouraging, whether it's facilitating a process or a transition, and whether that was in a formal context of a high school or a university, it was kind of etched in my DNA. And when I sat back probably a few years back and looked at the alignment and how everything kind of overlapped, it was around pushing my own wisdom and growing my own wisdom and encouraging others to really dance in their zone of wisdom as well. So
I like that, dance in your zone of wisdom. That is beautiful.
It's already inside us, and so for me in my role, all I'm doing is being a critical friend, someone who's going to ask the hard questions, provoke dialogue, and really nurture and allow whatever already exists inside each individual to come to the surface, and they do the work.
Wow, that's really beautiful. That because I agree with you that we all do have these gifts inside us. We all have a superpower, and it's just sometimes it takes a little bit of work to uncover that, and also to the paralysis that comes in from fear, from just not being able to release and leap and.
Fear's a big one, self-doubt, worthiness, a whole range of them. And often what I find with myself, my own experience, and everyone that I work with, it's all shaped by our conditioning. So if we've had a negative or what might be deemed as a negative experience in the past, we perhaps failed at something, someone told us we couldn't do something, that shapes how we show up day in and day out in our personal and our professional life. And so it's challenging and saying, is this actually true as well?
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, you touched on it briefly, and I know from your background is you actually are a qualified teacher. So you worked in secondary education. So talk to me a little bit about that you went into education, so clearly teaching and helping people find that something inside of them.
Well, it's entwined back to that wisdom moment, Tash, because while I set off to be the teacher, I actually became the student in so many cases, and
it was in the way.
And it was an environment of rapid growth, and even in the context of higher education, rapid growth and lessons. So when I could take off the ego and take off that construct of the teacher, the holder of knowledge, the holder of everything, and became the student, then the wisdom started to float to the surface. I could see it. And so when I shared that way of working with students or adults, young people, adults, it was the game changer. It was the catalyst to go, I've got everything I need inside to move forward and keep perpetual forward motion.
I really like what you say there about shedding the ego and the label of who I am as a teacher. And if I can let go of that label of who I am and the ego of, oh, I'm in this, have this title, what comes from that? That's
magic happens. For me, that's where the magic happens. Look, when I started to go beyond the dominant constructs of teaching, I started to actually call myself the wisdom teacher. I owned it on my social media handles. I stood up bravely in groups to share that. Does it mean I absolutely have arrived? No, that will never happen. There's so much learning to go. But it means that I'm proudly aligned to owning what I've come here in this lifetime to do and how I can transform and help and support others to find their path.
Wow. That's quite profound. You're hitting me with a lot of good ones there, Kylie.
You're welcome.
I hope that everybody's taking as much out of this as what I am. So then with that, that's then where Lead.Love.Leap has come from, exactly that. So tell me, so you got into this space. So from my research that I did from you, so you're working in the space of teacher and educator for young adults coming through the secondary system. 2013, something happened which really changed your perspective of the way you work.
Great question. I love being under the microscope. It's fantastic.
In a good way, though. In a good way.
We should continue to reflect. But in about 2013, on a side note, also own a family-based business in my local town. And I've probably, really honestly, always been on the outside of the corporate, the kind of business world. It was almost like someone described it to me recently. They said, oh, you're almost like the academic hippie recently. And I'm like, oh, I'll sit with that one for a while, all these new titles. But it was like I wanted to make my own rules, or I didn't quite fit. And I remember sitting in a conference with my husband and having this kind of light bulb moment where someone was sharing their story, their truth, their experience. And while that story was deeply remarkable and moving to me personally, this little idea went off. I know so many women in my local town, and men and children, and in my community who have remarkable truth-telling capacity. And I set about coming home from that conference going, I'll start with a luncheon and just get some women to share their truths and their stories. And then at the end of that one event, someone stood up and said, so what's next? And I hadn't actually thought about it. And it provoked me. So I sat about thinking of what this could become. And if I look back, it wasn't something new. It was what I was already doing, whether I was in that formal role of the classroom or in business circles. It was what I was already doing. But it was saying, hey, this is me. This is who I am. Come work with me.
Fabulous, because I know too from following you on social media and because clearly we live in the same town, it's the reason why you're sitting in my office.
So exciting.
So some of the same circles that we're in, is that something that I know is very important to you and passionate is sharing the amazing achievements of small businesses, local businesses, or just local people and their achievements and what they're doing. So
look, in fact, when I first started that catalyst moment in 2013, I thought I was just coming home to host a one-off event, not create a whole movement and a network. But it grew from showcasing people's achievements to something much deeper, and that was the transition into Lead.Love.Leap. But achievement is a really interesting concept. So I didn't want to really showcase and share the icing on the cake, the perfect moments. When we talk about that paralysis and all the fear that lives underneath, I wanted to have people share the raw and the real, the truth telling that those moments when they're on the bathroom floor, what they actually did day in, day out, those 1 degree moments to move through it. So that was what I set about doing. And achievement is important because I feel that we as humans, we have the right to define it. We define it by our own parameters, and that takes some time when the world has told us the parameters or the criteria for defining achievement. And then we have the responsibility to, I guess, authentically carve it or imperfectly carve it for us. Yeah, so that's really big for me. It's central to everything that I do.
Because I think too with social media is that we see all of the beautiful shiny moments. That's what's shared. We share all of that. But as a business owner and trying to make head and tail of it, there are those moments where you are sitting in the fetal position in the corner, just rocking, going, I'm never going to get this website to work, or these clients aren't coming in. All of those things. That there's some really, I know my journey
to share. So ripping back that veneer of perfection and digging deep for those moments. And for me, the big lesson came when, completely off the cuff, I remember maybe it was about 2015 or 16, I took out my Facebook account and did a little video, even before lives, I'm not sure, and communicated with my audience about something that was happening. I think I was in my pajamas. I'm not sure if I was wearing underwear, but it was that moment of there's no going back. I have to do this. This is who I am. And I didn't fully understand the impact of that truth until all of the messages, and even years later, oh my goodness, you were so vulnerable, you shared openly what you were going through, you showed your vulnerability, and it showed people that I wasn't here for 2 minutes. I actually did give a real damn about myself and others, of how they grow and evolve and play in that zone of potential.
Wow, that's really interesting, because that whole vulnerability, showing up there, and I mean, we both know Brené Brown just speaks about it, and I've got her book just here behind me about that. But then there is the authenticity that comes with being vulnerable, because there is, I feel that I see in this space a little bit, people are, I'm being vulnerable, but they're not really being vulnerable, they're just kind of going for the pity party.
Absolutely.
As opposed to when you're being vulnerable, it is the stuff that is deep down here, and
it's the stuff you feel, and it's felt in the body as a temperature, as a sensation, as a deep pain, and it's kind of exploring what it's like to move through that, or flipping that. I think our audience in terms of social media are starting to get, they're switched on, they're so intelligent. So, it doesn't take long to see past a funnel click. It doesn't take long to see when people show you who they are. That's the moment that you feel it in the body and listen.
Yes.
And that's where you say, hey, I'm with you, or actually I don't believe in that. So they're the questions we have to ask too, because not everyone's the right fit for it. We find our own tribe.
Of course, very much so. So now talk me through, so 2013, you came back from this conference, you had this moment where you heard the speaker and it hit you profoundly, so you said, I'm wanting to showcase all these women, so you did a luncheon. What's next? So you went away, so you came away from that luncheon.
As you're relaying that moment in time.
So you've come back from the luncheon, everybody said, wow, thank you so much, Kylie, for giving us a platform to share. So what did you do next? Did you run and hide, or did you step
No, it completely cracked open.
Wow.
Look, I won't lie. That first event, there were tech issues. There were challenges financially. There were so many behind-the-scenes moments. I remember sitting or standing in the restaurant bathroom with someone who was showcasing their story with a set of straightening irons, fixing my hair, because I'd been running around But you know, what it did was, none of that mattered. It all dissolved because I realised the power of sharing the story and telling and provoking the conversation. And starting to get people out of their silos.
Yes.
You know, that first luncheon, would have been frightening for people to even turn up as a guest, not knowing what they were in for or what questions may ask or what might be pushed and prodded within them. But at the end of that luncheon, I remember even forgetting to pay parking for the whole time I'd be there. And the synergy and the energy of women coming together and holding space for one another. So someone put a parking ticket for me out on my windshield to say, hey, pay it forward. Whole movements in Townsville started as a result of women sitting around the table to change some of the social issues that we were facing. And what I've seen is it paved the way and opened up the space to say collaboration is more important than competition.
Yes,
it's not easy,
but
it is more important. And it also paved the way for people to say, hey, I matter.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share my voice and I'm going to be more visible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's, I agree with you there. See, I don't believe in competition either. That, you know, that there is so many people out in the world, but I think that if we turn around, and I know that I've always done this in my career too, is turn around and say, do you know what, you're the customer. If there's something better for you, I would want you to be happy.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to try and force you to fit my mold. Please go and work with this other person instead.
Sometimes it's a referral process.
Yeah.
So some of my best work is referring and connecting people to who they need to hang out with.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you did this lunch, was at any point was there a thought that, hey, I can turn this into a business?
I was really naive, and I probably sat on the couch in my pajamas to recover in terms of the energy that first event took and the lessons that I learned. But immediately, within a week, someone just asking what was next was like, okay, there's a need. And so workshops and retreats that had already been running became visible under this umbrella of Women of Achievement and now Lead.Love.Leap. And so it was like, we want to spend more time delving into this, and it translated and transpired into something I could capitalise on, the content. I was capitalising on the content and looking at the profitability. So it shaped into workshops, retreats, but it wasn't something new that I was completely starting. Yes, it was under a new name, but it was every single thing that I'd done in the past that was shaping the product that I was offering the world.
Wow, that's amazing. So you already had that idea there where you've gone, right, I can take this and I mean, and because there is an important thing there in I think what you're saying, or what, sorry, I don't know if it was what you were saying, but monetizing what you do, because for you to be of more service to more people, you need to be monetized, or you need to receive a profit back. I speak about quite often is that
I love money.
Well, absolutely.
I love money.
And the thing is too is that you can't do these things if you can't afford to feed your family.
No, and there's a bigger thing there too, Tash. For me, it's about my energy. Yeah. And so it's sustainable. It needs to be sustainable. Yes. Two things probably. Am I passionate about this? Is this the work that really lights my fire? Am I learning here? And the other one is this sustainable? Can I wake up day in, day out and have the energy to work with people and put that out there in the world? Yeah. So that's the whole cyclic phase that I'm coming from when I'm putting things out there in the world. Yeah,
because I think that's quite a challenging space for a lot of people when they come and work for themselves, and particularly women. I know that it was a big challenge I had to overcome in my work because I just love what I do so much. And then, so I was doing all this free work, and of course, then that's just exhausting. And, you know, and my husband's there going, Tash, it's not a hobby. You know, you've got to make money out of this. And I know too, is that you just end up empty if you're not getting anything back. And the other party doesn't value it either.
No, and doubt starts to creep in, and that can really unpick the most passionate person I've ever met. But for me, that whole money concept is really what happened for me from learning what to charge and going from, you know, would I do this for free? To, but should I here? You know, we can pick and choose. When we've got that sustainable income and vitality in our finances, we are the decision makers.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have community groups and passion projects, and yes, maybe, and I have paid myself 0 cents an hour to support and help others. But in terms of the whole gamut of what I do in terms of products and services, it can't be everything that I do.
Yes.
So it's aligning, and when I first create a product or a service, it's really looking at the figures. It's starting with the budget. It's looking at the projections and looking at how this can happen and what I'm happy to pay myself as well.
I like that, how you develop the product and then you look back and you say, okay, what would I pay myself, or what would I pay somebody else if I was to undertake this program? That I think that's a really important place to start, because
would I invest in this? And usually, you know, while we do have a tribe or we get feedback, our biggest demographic is someone like us.
Yes,
if we're wanting
absolutely.
people, if we're attracting that vibe, a lot of it is ourselves. And so we can do some really clever metrics and projections, and we can even, you know, I've got a book and a book and a book for lots of products and services I could put out in the world. Do I put them all out? No, because then I have to strategically look at what's going to be profitable, sustainable, and what's going to make a significant difference to my community and myself.
Yeah, amazing. That's great. So talk me through that process then of developing new products that you're going to put out to the world. Talk me through that. So where does that come from for you?
Yeah, look, I'll give you a concrete example. It comes in all different ways. So I was I think 48 hours out from facilitating a large event last year.
Yes.
And late one night at my computer, I kept hearing all of these whispers and these tugs, and it was almost like all of these conversations that I'd had with women. It was challenges that I was personally facing myself. And all of a sudden I had to stop what I was doing in the last 48 hours of this event preparation, and you know, you're in it.
Wow, yeah.
Because it wouldn't let me concentrate. So I grabbed out the scrap paper and started just dumping it all out on paper and listing it and playing with it and playing with words and language, and you know, tapping into a few private inner circle Facebook groups that I've got to give me some feedback quickly about, you know, what do you think about this, or what's your biggest challenge, and just to get confirmation. And as soon as I could get the groundwork or the whole architecture and anatomy of that on a page, I put it aside and come back into the 48 hours of the program.
That's just crazy.
It is crazy, but so I've learnt to listen, and there's always space and time for things to unfold if I'm on my path. And so after I did that big event, I had some space. I carve out space after big events to really process and reflect.
So important.
The thing that was pulling me was this program, and it translated into developing an online program, a 12-month program around resetting and roaring every single month. And so then that took legs. I looked at the financial viability of it. I looked and weighed up how much passion was in it for me, and could I sustain that for the 12 months, and how I would go about marketing it and creating the sales strategy. And then it was about putting that curriculum into a package, an online a platform, and then it was go. So that fueled the progress.
So it was quite a quick process, quite a quick turnaround.
That was, but look, I've spent 2 to 5 years on some projects.
Oh, of course. Look, I mean, it's the part of that journey, isn't it? Is that it's that constant growth,
evolution.
So, now, there's a couple of things that I want to touch on that you just spoke about there. One of them was listening to the whispers, or listening to your intuition. So intuition's really important to you in the way that you do business.
Intuition, and feeling. The feeling body is, and so probably some of my side interests, meditation and yoga and many different modalities, have come in, and I've confidently been able to share with the world that these influence my business and my personal practices. They have transformed and revolutionised, you know, from burning up and dissolving ego to feeling energy of who I might collaborate with. To even saying, actually, this one doesn't align. I'm doing it because the whole world is telling me I should do that. That would be fun. but it's not on path with me.
Right, yes.
You know, even if there's a need out there, if it doesn't interest me, I won't have this. I won't have the energy to see it through. I'll go, yeah, not interesting anymore.
Wow, that's really
so it's a big part of how I do life and business.
Business. And do you find then too? So you're talking about as well is the tribe that you attract to yourself. That then is a reflection of.
There's parts of me in every single person that I've ever worked with.
Yes.
And for me, the thing that allows relationships or this point of connection, and it's not my words, Brené Brown says, you know, when we feel heard and seen and valued without judgment, there's this pure connection. So when I sit with a client or a circle or an audience and say, I've hit this too, oh my goodness, your story right now could be what I've experienced 10 years ago, or maybe that's coming for me. And that opens this space of, I get you, I hear you, and I feel you. And I don't want to solve your problems for you. But
of course.
Hey, I'll be happy to roll around in it for a little bit with you, and then we'll look at taking action of how to move through it.
Yep, fabulous. That's amazing.
It's good fun.
Yeah. Now the other thing I want to go back to that you just spoke about was your product development. So you use your intuition to help guide you on the products that you're going to develop. Now, so then what's your process then? So what would be like I'm interested to hear that and the time involved. And
look, I'm probably a little bit lazy in the fact that I have a short attention span with something. If I've learnt it, it's already old news, or it's a part of my practice and it's just who I am. It becomes innate. So for me, in terms of that product development, it's a fail fast attitude, and I test the market. So look, the recent program, the Reset and Raw 12-month online program, parts of that actually were an ebook from 5 years ago.
Oh wow! Okay.
Or a mini 2-hour workshop, or a one-on-one client provocation that I've explored, and it's joined all together.
Yep.
And so I've tested the market and I've listened. So just because I'm the demographic, it doesn't mean people are ready for it in the marketplace. And so when I look back, and hindsight is a beautiful thing.
Oh, of course, yes.
It took a good 3 to 4 years for people to feel comfortable about showing up and braving that vulnerability and saying, hey, I'm not here to talk about the icing on the cake success story. I want to know how you get back up off the floor, how you connect and get that seed funding and use online tools or build a network or sell stuff. Actually sell stuff. You know, my biggest question at the moment, and I'll put it out live, if anyone out there can help, I'm sure we can continue the conversation. I'm looking for $1 billion unicorn. And well, I've got a few, but the one that I'm really looking for is, I'm passionate about what I do, but there comes a point, probably about 9 days I've factored in, where I get sick of selling stuff. I get sick of that energy there because I'm already moving on to something else. And I want to know, whose passion is it to, you know, get sales happening from that end. I know I'm probably looking for the easy way out. You know, we're the best person to sell our own stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, if we really want to up level and go for that $1 billion kind of unicorn space, I think it's connecting with these amazing experts who aren't you, but they can elevate you and take you to the next level.
Which is what you do for a lot of people here.
Absolutely, but there's deficits and gaps in my own skill set, so I'm always looking for them.
Oh my goodness, that's tremendous. Look, I think it's interesting that you say that, because I know my background being marketing, and quite often in the marketing
space.
Probably a reason
why we're sitting here
today. Is that, you know, we write campaigns so far in advance, and then all of a sudden, when it launches, and then when you see it in the print or it's actually gone out, it's kind of like, oh God, I'm so bored of
2 years ago.
Exactly. And I know that it's something in that space that that you have to learn to take a step back from and just say, okay, it's boring to me, but it's not boring
No,
to
it's
the
brand
audience.
new.
It's brand new to them. And the thing is too, is how many times is it going to take for that person for my message to be received?
Yeah.
For it to be seen.
I've heard someone recently, or maybe last year, said about 12.8 times. So, you know, a big thing that, especially women I work with in business or who are launching, say, I've put it out there, I've done my job. I'm like, no. And they think they're over talking to and over pushing. And I'm like, no, you need to. And so I don't know what the metric is in 2019.
Look, it's pretty much off the charts now. I know I first started working in newspaper sales.
Yeah.
And so my pitch when I'd be going out would be, okay, you need to buy at least a series of 4 ads because it's going to take four times of repetition before you're going to get the brand recall. Now, and I was just speaking about this recently too, about how many messages people are receiving nowadays, the noise that's going on. So so that recall is now well up beyond 12, but it's got even really difficult to actually measure that. Because the amount of messages we're receiving too, where, you know, once upon a time or prior to social media explosion and our television, you know, channels, meant having
product segments. So, you know, like, do you want white bread or wholemeal? There are 42 types: paleo, grain-free, gluten-free.
Yes.
How do we make a choice? The consumer has so many choices.
Absolutely. And it's so confusing. So so don't get bored of what you're selling. Keep selling it.
Thank you.
Continue, share the same message.
I
it doesn't
hear
matter.
that today.
So now getting back to you. So you've been now in this space working with empowering women, helping women get. Sorry, I'm saying women, but
predominantly
it is
and
women.
Look, I don't. For me. I guess I've worked with women because I am one.
Yes.
And so I'm really related, I can relate easily. But look, I don't discriminate. I've worked with some amazing leaders who are male, and I've worked with children who are the new free leaders of the world, like they're rising up. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I love that, the new free leaders of the world. So, so now, as I was saying, I love that answer there, but I got lost.
I'm sidetracking you. I love this. I'm so glad you're here to keep me on track.
So tell us, how do you go about that, helping people get out of their own way? Or before I start that, probably what's the biggest thing that people get in their own way about? And then we can talk about how do we get out of our own way.
I love framing it. Look, there are things that hold us back. There are blocks and limits, and I talked a little about conditioning earlier, but there are many other things too. And the things that hold us back are sometimes our own best thinking. So that's it. In a nutshell, it's like, I'm here and this is where I am, and I can't move forward. I don't know what to do next. I know I don't want to stay here, but I don't know what to do next.
Yes.
And so that's the biggest problem, whether it's related to money, stuck in the busy. So it's usually economic pain, time and space as a commodity, and a really big part of our life. And I guess this idea of consciousness. So our awareness, our own awareness, and developing and growing that. So that's the problem. Like, the big problems are related to economic and financial and relationships. But to get out and smash those blocks, it's all about mindset. It's all about taking and moving from your best thinking. And sometimes it takes an external force, not to solve it, but to prod and provoke and be that critical friend who says, is that true? Oh, when have you done this before?
Right.
Or, well, what might that actually look like? Or have you factored in this?
So basically, putting a mirror in front of people.
Absolutely, and that mirror is also helpful, reflecting back at me as well. So I get to say those questions to myself as I'm saying them with whoever I'm working with.
So, and how do women take that then? So getting that...
You've got such good questions, Tash. Look, I probably... I'm a little bit fierce from time to time.
Yes.
I'm pretty passionate. And I won't lie, that was a big learning curve for me. So, I couldn't say, just get out of your own way and be so aggressive. It was actually taking a step back and thinking about how I would respond how
Yeah.
I'd like to be loved, how
Yes.
I'd like to be nurtured and
Yeah.
encouraged and elevated and supported.
Yeah.
And that was in the most gentlest way. So fierce conversation,
Yep.
big questions,
Big questions.
but in the most gentlest way. And so it's saying, hey, I'm with you. We're going to sit in this together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to solve it.
Yeah.
And flip it. So it's hinged on accountability.
Yes.
It's hinged on this idea that I'm responsible for my life and I'm going to stand up for it and own it.
Yes.
And so it's saying, well, how will you do that? And it's also saying it's okay if you take 2 steps back. We're going to start where you are.
Yep.
Always start with where you are.
Of course. You can't start anywhere else. You can't start halfway up the mountain if you haven't got up there yet.
And you can't start on someone else's trajectory or someone
No.
else's success story or
No.
end story.
No. So with that, getting out of your own way and putting the mirror, you know, having that reflection, do you think, is it something that people can do on their own, or is it something that they really do need somebody to just sort of say, hey, seriously, are you listening to the bullshit that's coming out of your mouth right now? Because I'm not buying it. And so
I love that. I was having a conversation with a woman just yesterday about this. I live under the pretense, or from the philosophy that my biggest goal is to make myself redundant with whoever I'm working with.
Yes.
In fact,
Yes.
fire me if I'm not making myself redundant because I'm not doing what I have promised and what I'm honouring with you. So the idea in personal and professional development and helping people lead, love, leap to their potential is getting them to a point where they ask the questions of themselves. They reflect, they build a robust practice that is keeping them on that path. And that practice set is defined by them, just like how they define achievement or success. So for me, personally, when I work with people, it's all about making myself redundant. I want people to fly. I want people to stand on their own 2 feet. In fact, I want them then to ring me up when I've got it. Well, when I ring them, or Facebook message them and say, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think about this? Give me a question. Turn the tables."
Okay.
So it's a two-way reciprocity.
Fabulous.
Reciprocity's there too.
Okay. Fabulous. So really, what I'm hearing you saying is that you just put everything that you've got into helping people get out of their own way, take that next step, so that they really don't need to work with you again.
Oh yeah, then it's hands off.
That's it. So do you work in a time frame with people, or is it kind of fluid with what that person needs?
There's different ways. For me, some of the most transformative work is over a timeline. So, if I'm working with a corporation or an organisation, for example, on changing culture or redefining what is, I might work with that corporation for 6 months spanned out over a 7-month period. Or with an individual, it might be 3 months spanned over 4 months.
Okay, yeah.
But then there are short, sharp, fire up, pulse check ways of working with people. It's like they're already on the path, they're already making some progress, and they just need a little top up here and there.
Yeah.
So there's different ways, and so people get to decide on how. Going to an event and listening to another woman's story might actually be enough.
Yes.
Or it could be working one-on-one, or it could be working in a tribe, a small group of 6, like a power circle that I facilitate.
Fantastic. So you've got quite a number of products out there.
Yeah, and I've tried to streamline and refine them over the years because that ideas book is big.
Right, so what are you working on at the moment?
Oh, that's a great question. Look, I am, obviously I'm still in my 12-month program. So that's a online program that's drip fed with a new theme and focus every month. And as a part of that, tomorrow morning at 5:30 in the morning, I do action and accountability hours. So we get online and we jam through and we really support each other online. So that's fluidly going throughout the year with lots of other things. But what I'm working on at the moment is bringing another remarkable woman to Townsville, Denise Duffield-Thomas.
Yes.
So she is coming on the 1st of May.
Yes.
And look, I think one of my goals in life is to work with amazing people and open other people's worlds up to amazing people and connect them. So I know that people in our town and in our networking community could really value Denise's work. She really smashes through being an amazing manifester and the law of attraction, and she is unashamedly proud to say and stand up and say, I make money from what I put out in the world.
And what a beautiful place to be.
Absolutely.
So with that, where can people find you?
Oh, that's a great question. So I do most of my best work on social media.
Yes, of course.
You can send me a message on Instagram, it's Lead.Love.Leap, and on Facebook, Lead.Love.Leap with Kylie Bartlett, or an email, and I am in the process, yeah, that's the correct word, of developing the website since I've had the transition and changeover from Women of Achievement to Lead.Love.Leap. And so really that's about making a one-stop shop for the online platform for everything that I offer.
So local women, Kylie's bringing Denise Duffield-Thomas to town, so you can get on board and get tickets for that. You've got your reset and rule that you're in the process of at the moment, but you also have some one-on-one spots available.
Absolutely.
To work with people to reset and to help get out of their own way. And it's not just for local people.
No,
it is. You definitely go all over.
Yeah. So 4 times a year I run 3-month women's power programs.
Yes.
And then allowing effective space for me to do my own work. I work around putting in some corporate work and some one-on-one work. And usually I'll take between 2 and 4 a month of that one-on-one work. So I know my capacity.
Yes.
And I know what to keep me going.
But if anybody is thinking of travelling up this way to attend one of Kylie's workshops, can I just say please do, because she holds them over on the magnificent Magnetic Island, which is without doubt one of the most beautiful places on earth.
It's almost like I just have to show up because the environment, the natural surrounding is stunning. Yeah.
Absolutely. So check Kylie out online. You can find her Lead.Love.Leap. There's dots in between all the words.
There is.
Yes. Kylie Bartlett on social media. And of course, we'd love to know your thoughts. So please leave some comments below, because we want to know what you thought of our talk today. What were some of the takeaways? I know that there was lots of takeaways. But before we let you go, what is the one piece of business advice that you can share with our
How long
audience?
have we got? Look, what immediately comes to mind is it's important to stay in your own lane. There is so much noise out there, and there are so many experts telling you what you should do. But if it doesn't align with this feeling that hums in your heart, if it doesn't align with what makes you come alive, then it's not going to work. So stay in your own lane. If that means a digital detox so many days a week, go for it. If that means coming back to connecting with the earth and exploring modalities that really reset you day in, day out, that's what you have to do. So I think the biggest thing is staying in your own lane and trying not to notice what everyone else's 100% or 10-year plan looks like.
So true. I could not agree with you more on that. Definitely. So guys, thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Tash B. Really appreciate sharing all of this with you. So take what you've learned, share with us, share with the world, but amongst all other things, go out there and just be amazing. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.